Far away on a strange and glowing planet, there was a castle no one dared to enter. The castle belonged to the prince, a young and powerful ruler of the alien empire. It was not like the castles on Earth. Its walls shimmered with a soft blue light, and strange machines hummed quietly, moving on their own. But the most fearsome thing inside was not the walls or the machines. It was the prince's beast. The beast was enormous. Its body was covered with scales that shone like metal in the light. Its eyes glowed red, and it had sharp claws that could tear anything in seconds. The beast had lived in the castle for years, guarding it from anyone who tried to enter. Soldiers, merchants, and even brave warriors from faraway lands had come, hoping to meet the prince or see the castle. None of them ever returned. Some said the beast had killed them. Others whispered that they had been scared away, too frightened to step inside again. The castle was surrounded by tall towers and walls that stretched to the sky. At night, the lights of the castle made the ground below look like a pool of stars. From the outside, the castle seemed quiet, but anyone who tried to enter soon realized it was alive with strange energy. The hallways were wide, with floors that reflected the light like glass. Machines moved along the walls and alien paintings covered every corner. The smell of strange plants and flowers filled the air. Despite its beauty, the castle was dangerous. The prince's beast could sense anyone approaching. It was said that it could feel fear, bravery, greed, and even lies. If someone entered with the wrong intention, the beast would roar and block their way. Many people had tried to sneak inside, thinking they were clever, but the beast always knew. Its roar echoed through the castle halls, shaking the walls, and everyone ran away in terror. The prince watched from his balcony high above the main hall. He was young, but he had learned to rule with wisdom and strength. He knew the beast was more than just a guard. It was a part of the castle, and it was a part of him. The prince had never needed to fight the beast because it obeyed him. Still, he liked to watch how others failed. He found it strange and amusing to see people try and fail to face the creature. Some visitors were brave at first, walking confidently into the hall, but their courage melted away the moment the beast's eyes met theirs. Others tried to use tricks or weapons, but nothing worked. Outside the castle, the villagers told stories about the beast. Children would whisper about it at night, hiding under blankets. "It has eyes that see everything," they said. "It can smell your heart and know if you are honest." Traders from other planets would pass by and shake their heads. "No one has entered the castle and returned," they would say. Some claimed that the prince himself was lucky to have such a powerful friend in the beast. One sunny morning, a group of travelers approached the castle. They were well-armed and confident. They had heard of the prince and wanted to meet him. They believed their skills and weapons would keep them safe. They laughed at the villagers' warnings, saying, "We are not afraid of fairy tales and monsters." They stepped through the castle gates, their boots echoing on the shiny floors. The castle seemed quiet at first. The travelers admired the lights and the machines, pointing at the glowing walls. Then without warning the air changed. A heavy, warm wind filled the hall and the travelers froze. From the shadows, a low growl began to echo. At first it was soft, almost like the wind, but it grew louder and sharper. The travelers turned their heads and saw the beast. It moved with incredible speed, its massive form appearing like a shadow from another world. Its eyes glowed red and it stared at them, calm but powerful. The travelers' laughter vanished. They tried to step back, but the hall seemed endless. The beast did not attack immediately. It just watched them, its gaze heavy and demanding. One of the travelers tried to speak, but his voice shook. "We mean no harm," he stammered. The beast sniffed the air, and the hall was silent except for its slow, steady breathing. Every step the travelers took felt heavier. Their courage left them, and soon they realized they could not continue. The prince watched silently. He knew the beast would not allow anyone to reach him unless they were truly worthy. He did not need to intervene. The travelers, once confident, now stumbled backward, their heads down. The beast let them go but followed them with its gaze until they left the castle completely. No one had entered the forbidden halls that day. No one ever would, except someone very special. Deep inside, the prince wondered when that special person would arrive. Someone who could walk into the castle without fear. Someone who could see the beast not as a threat, but as a being worthy of respect. He did not know when it would happen, but he was ready. For now, the castle remained as it always had, beautiful, mysterious, and untouchable. And the beast remained, watching, guarding, and waiting. On a quiet morning, far from the alien villages, a small spaceship landed near the prince's castle. It was simple and not very large, but it moved with precision and grace. Out of the ship stepped a human. He was tall and lean, with a calm expression on his face. In his arms he carried a small dog, its fur soft and golden. The dog wagged its tail, sniffing the strange air and the glowing plants around them. The villagers who saw the ship were surprised. Humans were rare on this planet and most aliens considered them weak and fragile. They whispered among themselves. "Why would a human come here?" they asked. "Does he not know the danger?" But the human did not seem afraid. He walked toward the castle slowly, letting the dog explore the ground. He spoke softly to the dog in words the villagers could not understand, and the dog responded with happy barks. The castle gates were tall and shining. Guards stood in front, their alien armor reflecting the light. When they saw the human, they moved forward. "Stop," one of them said. "You cannot enter. The prince's beast will destroy anyone who steps inside." The human smiled slightly and shook his head. "I only wish to see the prince," he said calmly. "I mean no harm." The guards hesitated. They had never met a human before, and something about his calm voice made them pause. The dog ran ahead, fearless, and sniffed near the entrance of the castle. It barked happily, wagging its tail. The guards looked at each other nervously. The human followed, keeping his hands open and empty. There were no weapons, no tricks, nothing to threaten the castle or its beast. Just a human and his dog. Inside the hall, the castle was even more magnificent. The walls glowed softly, and strange machines moved along invisible tracks. The floor reflected the lights, making it look like the stars had fallen inside. The human walked slowly, observing everything carefully. The dog ran ahead, sniffing corners and jumping lightly over the glowing floors. The castle seemed alive, humming quietly with energy, and the human did not flinch. From the balcony, the prince watched. He had seen many visitors, all afraid of the castle and the beast. None had entered so calmly. He leaned forward, curious. Who is this human? He wondered. Why does he not tremble before the beast? The human did not look around with fear or awe. He walked with steady steps, speaking softly to his dog. There was a strange confidence in him that the prince had never seen. Suddenly the beast stirred. It had sensed the new presence. Its eyes glowed brighter and it stepped into the main hall. The dog barked, running forward but not out of fear. It sniffed the air and wagged its tail. The beast lowered its massive head and sniffed the dog back. The human stopped and crouched slightly, speaking gently to the dog. "Good boy," he whispered. The dog barked once more and the beast made a low, curious sound. The guards froze. They had seen the beast scare away warriors twice their size. They had never seen it act like this. It was not growling or attacking. Instead, it was watching the human and his dog with interest. Every step the human took was calm and careful. He did not threaten the beast, and the beast did not see him as a threat. The human reached a wide hall where the prince usually stood. He paused and looked around, noticing the glowing paintings, the moving machines, and the high towers above. He did not rush. He did not panic. The dog ran in circles happily, sniffing the air. Then, softly, the human called the dog to sit. The dog obeyed, sitting calmly at his feet. The beast tilted its head, watching this small act of discipline. The prince felt a strange emotion. He had never seen courage like this. Not the kind of courage that comes from strength or weapons, but the kind that comes from calmness, kindness, and confidence. This human did not fight or shout. He did not try to trick the beast or scare it. He simply walked into the castle, respecting the creature and the place. The beast sniffed again, more deeply this time. It caught the scent of the human's dog. Something about it made the beast pause. It stepped closer, its massive claws quiet on the glowing floor. The human did not move. He stayed still, speaking softly to the dog. The dog barked happily once, and the beast made a low rumble, almost like it was thinking. The guards whispered among themselves. It is not attacking," one of them said. "It is curious." The prince smiled slightly. He had waited years to see if anyone could meet the beast without fear. Perhaps, he thought, this human was the one. The human looked up and noticed the balcony where the prince was watching. He nodded politely, a small gesture of respect. The dog wagged its tail and barked again. The beast stepped back slightly but stayed in the hall, watching them both. The human's calmness, his trust in the dog, and his lack of fear seemed to have changed the energy of the room. For the first time in many years, the castle was quiet in a new way. It was not quiet because people were afraid. It was quiet because something different had arrived. A human who did not need weapons or strength to make his presence known. The prince knew that this was only the beginning. Something extraordinary was about to happen. And so, the human and his dog stood in the hall of the forbidden castle, facing the beast. The air was tense but peaceful. The castle, which had always been feared, waited silently, ready for the story that was about to unfold. The hall fell silent as the beast slowly stepped forward. Its massive body moved with grace, though every movement made the floor vibrate slightly. Its eyes glowed a deep red, and its gaze swept over the human and his dog. The dog, small and fearless, wagged its tail and sniffed the air. It did not growl, nor did it run. It seemed to sense something important about the beast. The human stayed still, watching the creature carefully. He did not panic and he did not make sudden movements. His calmness was unusual. Every visitor before had rushed, screamed, or tried to attack the beast. None had lasted more than a few steps. But this human walked in quietly, with respect and confidence, and the beast noticed it. The guards at the back of the hall held their breath. They had expected the usual chaos, the roars and destruction that followed any attempt to enter the hall. But now nothing happened. The beast stopped, sniffing the air. Its eyes followed the dog, tilting its massive head. The dog barked softly and moved closer to the human, who crouched slightly to stroke it. The beast made a low, rumbling sound, not a growl but a sound of curiosity. The human whispered to the dog, "Good boy. Stay calm." The dog obeyed, sitting quietly at his feet. The beast sniffed again, its large nose twitching. The scent of the dog reached it clearly. The human did not move, he did not threaten, and he did not try to run. He only stood there, steady and patient. The beast had never seen a visitor like this. From the balcony above, the prince leaned forward. He had watched the beast for years, seeing it stop every intruder without mercy. He had never imagined that anyone could enter the hall and face the beast without fear. The human's calmness and the dog's loyalty created a new energy in the room. The prince's heart raced with curiosity. Could it be, he wondered? Has someone finally found the way to reach the beast? The beast stepped closer, its claws clicking softly on the reflective floor. It sniffed the air around the human and his dog carefully. The dog wagged its tail, moving slightly forward. The beast sniffed the dog, then the human. It was a cautious, careful inspection, as if it was trying to understand something. Its glowing eyes reflected curiosity rather than anger. The human spoke softly, barely louder than a whisper. "Hello, friend," he said. "It's okay. We mean no harm." His voice was calm and gentle. The dog barked once in agreement. The beast's ears twitched. It had never heard such a voice from a visitor. Most humans or aliens screamed, shouted, or tried to fight. This human was different. The guards whispered among themselves. It is not attacking," one said. Another added, "It is watching." They were amazed. For decades, the beast had stopped every visitor. But now it seemed uncertain. It stepped closer still, sniffing the human's feet, then his hands. The human remained still, relaxed, and patient. The dog's scent mixed with the human's calm presence, and something about it seemed to soothe the beast. The hall was quiet except for the soft hum of the castle's machines and the low rumble of the beast. Every eye in the hall watched in astonishment. Even the prince felt a strange excitement. He had never seen the beast pause or hesitate before. Its enormous body, once terrifying, now seemed alive with curiosity. The human had not used strength or weapons. He had simply faced the beast with calmness and respect. The beast lowered its massive head closer to the dog. The dog sniffed its nose gently. The beast made a sound like a growl but softer, almost like a question. It was testing, not attacking. The human smiled faintly and stepped a little closer to the dog. "It's okay," he said again. "You're safe." The beast paused, then sat back slightly, still watching but no longer threatening. The guards gasped quietly. They had never seen the beast act like this. It was supposed to be unstoppable, yet here it was, curious, cautious, and silent. The prince realized that the human had something special, something that could reach even the most fearsome creature in the empire. He had courage, patience, and a bond with his dog that gave him strength the aliens could not understand. The human knelt slightly and held out his hand toward the beast, not in threat but in respect. The beast sniffed his hand carefully. The dog barked happily and wagged its tail. Slowly the beast made a soft, low rumble, a sound almost like a greeting. The human smiled. He had not come to fight or conquer. He had come to meet, to understand, and to show kindness. For the first time in many years the beast's hall was calm. The human and his dog had entered where no one else could. They had faced the creature without fear, without weapons, and without tricks. The prince watched from above, his eyes wide with wonder. He realized that humans were extraordinary not because of their strength, but because of their courage, kindness, and the special bond they shared with their companions. The beast lowered itself slightly, allowing the human and his dog to stand closer. It sniffed again, then stepped back, showing that it was willing to watch, not attack. The human nodded to the dog, who barked once more in excitement. The hall, once a place of fear, now felt alive with a new possibility. The human had awakened something in the beast, not fear, not anger, but curiosity and trust. The castle, the prince, and all who watched understood that this was the beginning of a new story. A story where humans could show courage and wisdom in ways no alien had imagined. The human and his dog had entered the heart of the forbidden castle, and for the first time they were safe. The hall was quiet now, but the tension had not completely disappeared. The beast stood tall, its massive form filling the room, yet it no longer seemed threatening. It watched the human and his dog carefully, its glowing red eyes curious and alert. The human knelt on the reflective floor, speaking softly to his dog, his calm presence filling the space. The dog wagged its tail and barked gently, sensing that the beast was no longer a danger. The human took a deep breath and spoke again, quietly and patiently. "It's okay," he said. "We're friends." He did not move toward the beast aggressively, nor did he show fear. The dog walked slowly toward the beast, its nose sniffing the air, then its massive body. The beast lowered its head, sniffing the dog carefully. It made a low rumble, almost like it was thinking. The dog barked softly in response, a happy, friendly sound that echoed through the hall. The guards at the back of the hall whispered among themselves. They had never seen anything like this. No one had ever calmed the beast before. The human had not used strength or weapons. He had not shouted or tried to scare it away. He had simply faced the creature with patience and kindness. Every movement was slow, deliberate, and respectful. The prince, watching from the balcony, felt a mix of surprise and admiration. The beast sniffed the dog again. Then, slowly, it reached one massive paw forward, moving carefully toward the human. The human did not step back. He stayed calm, speaking softly to his dog and the beast. "It's okay," he repeated. "We are friends." The dog barked once and nudged the human's hand. The beast's claw touched the ground gently, closer to the human but without aggression. The human extended a hand toward the beast, slowly, without sudden movements. The beast sniffed it carefully, its eyes still glowing but not threatening. Then, in a surprising gesture, it lowered its head completely, brushing it slightly against the dog. The dog wagged its tail and barked happily. The human smiled, understanding that the beast had accepted the first step of trust. The prince leaned forward, unable to hide his amazement. He had never imagined that a human could connect with the beast in this way. His creatures, his warriors, and even the most skilled diplomats had failed to approach the castle safely. But this human, small and seemingly weak, had done something extraordinary. He had formed a bond without force, without fear, without weapons. The strength of humans, he realized, was in their courage, patience, and their ability to care for others. The beast stepped back slightly, still watching, but it did not move to attack. Its breathing was slow and steady, as if it were trying to understand the human and the dog. The dog barked happily and ran a small circle around the human, who knelt patiently, keeping his eyes calm and focused. The human spoke again, his voice gentle and steady. "We can be friends," he said. "You do not need to be afraid." The beast tilted its massive head and sniffed the air again. Something about the human and his dog seemed to reach deep inside the creature. It had never felt this before. Most visitors had fear, greed, or aggression. This human had none of that. He had only kindness, courage, and a quiet strength that the beast could sense. The prince realized that this was a rare gift, a bond formed not with power but with trust and respect. The human slowly stood up, keeping his distance from the beast but showing no fear. The dog ran forward, sniffing the beast's nose, and the beast did not react aggressively. Instead, it allowed the small animal to explore, its massive eyes watching every movement. The human took a step closer and spoke softly. "We mean no harm," he said. "We only want to understand and be friends." The beast's glowing eyes softened slightly. It lowered its massive head again closer to the dog. The dog wagged its tail, barked happily, and nudged the human's hand. The human smiled and gently patted the dog. The beast made a low rumble, almost like a sound of acceptance. The hall, which had once been filled with fear and tension, now felt peaceful and alive. The guards whispered among themselves, amazed at what they were witnessing. It is letting them stay," one said. "It is calm." The prince nodded slowly, understanding the significance. Humans had something the aliens had never valued properly. They were not the strongest or the fastest, but they had courage, patience, and an ability to connect with others, even a creature as terrifying as this beast. The human knelt again, speaking softly to the beast and the dog. The dog sat obediently, tail wagging, while the beast lowered itself slightly, showing a sign of trust. It sniffed the human's hand once more, then stepped back, keeping its eyes on them. The prince knew this was a turning point. The bond had been formed. The human and his dog had reached the heart of the beast without force or fear. For the first time in many years, the castle's central hall felt alive with trust, friendship, and possibility. The human had shown that courage could be quiet, that strength was not always in weapons or size, and that bonds of trust could achieve what fear and power never could. The beast had accepted them. The human had proven the power of kindness. The prince smiled, realizing that this was only the beginning of something extraordinary. The human and his dog stood together, facing the massive beast, and the castle waited quietly as if holding its breath. The bond had been formed. The story of the human, his dog, and the prince's beast was only beginning, and the future was full of wonder, courage, and hope. The hall was quiet, but the energy had changed completely. The beast, once feared by all who entered the castle, now moved calmly, observing the human and his dog. Its massive body no longer seemed terrifying. Instead, it radiated curiosity and caution, a careful watchfulness that had never been seen before. The human stood beside his dog, speaking softly, his calm presence filling the room. The prince stepped down from his balcony and entered the hall. His eyes were wide with amazement. He had never seen anyone approach the beast without fear or weapons. The human had done something no alien, soldier, or visitor had managed for generations. He had faced the creature with courage, patience, and respect. The prince felt a mixture of admiration and humility. The beast lowered its massive head slightly, acknowledging the prince's presence without aggression. The human nodded politely to the prince, keeping his tone gentle and calm. "We mean no harm," he said simply. "We only want to understand." The dog barked softly in agreement, its tail wagging happily. The prince realized that humans were extraordinary, not because of strength or power but because of their courage, their patience, and their ability to form bonds with others. The guards whispered quietly among themselves. They had seen many warriors, diplomats, and travelers fail to enter the castle safely. Now, they watched in awe as a human had not only entered but had earned the trust of the beast. The hall, once filled with fear, now felt alive with hope and possibility. The castle seemed less like a fortress and more like a home. The beast stepped closer to the human and his dog, sniffing them carefully. The human knelt slightly, speaking softly. "It's okay," he said. "We are friends." The dog barked gently and nudged the human's hand. The beast rumbled in response, a low sound that seemed almost like a greeting. For the first time, the beast had shown acceptance instead of fear or aggression. The prince approached slowly, studying the scene. He realized that the human had done more than calm the beast. He had formed a bond that went beyond fear or obedience. The human's courage was quiet, his strength was patience, and his power was kindness. This was a new way of thinking for the prince, who had always valued force and authority. He began to see that humans had a gift that aliens often overlooked: the ability to connect, to understand, and to inspire trust. The human stood, keeping his dog close, and looked at the prince. "Your beast is magnificent," he said softly. "It is strong, wise, and loyal. But it also deserves respect, not fear." The prince felt a warmth in his chest. He had never thought about the beast in that way before. He had seen it as a weapon, a guardian, a creature to enforce his power. Now he saw it differently, as a living being capable of trust, understanding, and friendship. The beast lowered itself completely, letting the human and dog approach. The dog sniffed its massive nose, and the beast responded with a gentle rumble. The prince stepped closer, placing a hand on the beast's shimmering scales. It did not flinch. The beast allowed this connection, showing that it recognized the human's courage and respect. The hall, once full of fear, now felt like a place of harmony. Word of the event spread quickly through the empire. Aliens who had once feared the castle now came to see it as a symbol of hope. They realized that true strength was not only in size, speed, or weapons, but in courage, understanding, and kindness. The human and his dog had changed how everyone saw power and friendship. The prince stood beside the human, watching as the beast settled calmly. For the first time in generations, the castle felt welcoming, not terrifying. The human had shown that courage could be quiet, that bravery did not need violence, and that bonds of trust could achieve what fear and force never could. The dog barked happily, and the beast rumbled in response, a peaceful sound that filled the hall. The human turned to the prince. "Your castle is magnificent," he said. "But your greatest treasure is not the walls or machines. It is the beast and the trust you have built with it." The prince nodded slowly, understanding the truth in those words. The human had reminded him that courage and kindness could change even the most fearsome hearts. From that day forward, the castle became a place of learning and friendship. Visitors who once feared the halls now came to understand the value of patience and respect. The beast, once a symbol of terror, became a guardian and companion, showing the aliens a new way of thinking. The prince learned that humans could teach lessons no alien could, and he respected them deeply for it. The human and his dog eventually left the castle, but their presence left a lasting impact. The beast watched them go, calm and peaceful, and the prince smiled, knowing the lessons they had brought would remain forever. The castle, once feared by all, became a symbol of trust, courage, and unity. And the empire, inspired by the humans, began to see strength not in fear or power, but in kindness, courage, and the bonds that connect all living beings. The human, small and seemingly weak, had changed an entire empire. The prince's beast, once feared by everyone, had found friendship. And the castle, once forbidden, had become a place where courage, patience, and trust could thrive. The era of fear was over, and a new era of understanding had begun.